everyone. My name is Dr. Srinivas Kishoran, the Director of ENT and Sleep Apnea Services here at Hyderabad in AIG Hospitals. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about black fungus. This is something that most of us have been intrigued with. So the patients who have basically just gone out of COVID are falling into this trap. So it's like a fryer to the pan kind of situation. So I think it's very prudent that we discuss a little bit about black fungus, what it is, how it spreads in the body, who is vulnerable, what are the risk factors, and what precautions should we be taking. So let me start with what is black fungus. Now, black fungus is it's a colloquial name. People call it black fungus because of the damage that it causes to the nasal skin. So once you put an endoscope into a person's nose, so why would you put a scope into somebody's nose? So patients who have recently contracted COVID disease or who have recently recovered from COVID and who have an underlying diabetes which gets uncontrolled by the use of steroids, which unfortunately for us has become compulsory in the management of COVID-19. If they have these three sort of problems, I call them the unholy trio. So which is the presence of COVID-19 or the immediate post-COVID status, followed by uncontrolled diabetes and the use of steroids. Now all these three things in the body, once they happen, cause two very important changes. One is it causes what is called as acidosis. Acidosis means the body actually maintains neutral pH. So I'm sure all of you know what a pH is. Now, once there is acidosis in the body, which is caused by uncontrolled diabetes, which can be made worse by the presence of steroids in the body, and also because of COVID, what also happens is there is hypoxia. What is hypoxia? Hypoxia is the amount of oxygen in the body is less, which also causes acidosis. Now both of these things alter the pH in the body and make it more acidotic. Now what happens is, because of the presence of the fungal spores in the air that we breathe, these are there, we are all breathing in, we are actually in a soup of fungus where there is fungus all around us, but nothing happens to us. Why? Because our immune system is very strong, and once the immune system is very strong, these fungal spores, which are the seeds for the fungus, cannot invade into the body. Now by some reason your nasal immunity goes down, your general immunity goes down by COVID and uncontrolled diabetes. These fungal spores enter into your body and they enter into the bloodstream. So once it enters into the bloodstream, a cascade of events happen. So what is this fungus? Fungus is just a plant, and that is why we are talking about spores and seeds. So once this actually germinates inside your blood vessel, the blood vessel is basically cut off and it is what we call as thrombosed. Thrombosed means there is no blood flowing through it, and hence whatever organ that particular blood vessel has to supply gets necrosed. That means since it's not getting its nutrition, it eventually dies off. Now unfortunately, since it's in the part of the face and head and eye and all that, you can't cut it off, right? So, but unless the blood flow is restored, those parts will not get blood flow, and hence the treatment is basically twofold. One is to establish the blood flow, and two, to kill the spores that we can't see to the eye. Now, since the spores are invisible, we use medication to kill the spores. And the part of the blood vessel that is blocked has to be cleared through surgery so that the blood flow is established so that your medicine can reach every nook and corner of your body to kill the spores. Now, who are the people who are more vulnerable? Now, black fungus is caused by a fungus called, the species is called Mucorales. Now, all of them can attack us and cause problems. Now, they can attack the nose, the eye and the brain, and hence it's got a notorious name. Rhino means nose, Orbito means eye, Cerebro means brain, Mucormycosis. So that is the name of the species and that's the name of the disease. So what happens here is all these parts get their bloods cut off because of the theory that I explained to you, that these spores go in and cause damage to the blood vessels and there is no blood flow going on. Now, it doesn't happen to everybody. It only happens to people whose immunity goes down because of COVID, whose diabetes level goes uncontrolled because of the presence of the steroids, which unfortunately have to be given to save the lung. And hence this vicious cycle makes the body vulnerable and makes the fungi go inside. Now, in many ways that this fungus can present. One is just severe cheek pain and head pain. This is one of the commonest presentations. So they would have a history of COVID happening or going on as a disease in them, or they would have just recovered from COVID, and these patients, whatever age they may be, present with severe pain in the eye or in the head or in the cheek. Now, if you just take painkillers and would suppress that, the next kind of a symptom that the body would come out with is a cheek swelling or an eye swelling. Now, if one ignores that also, the next will be diminution of vision and pain on moving the eyeball. Now, by then we already know that the eye is already affected. That means in a stage of 1, 2, 3, supposing you say stage 1 is only nose and sinus, stage 2 is nose, sinus and eye, and stage 3 means nose, sinus, eye and brain. Now, obviously when I keep speaking about the progress of the disease, how is this disease progressing? It is progressing through the blood vessels. So everywhere these sporangia, that are spores which are seeds of the fungus, grow, they germinate, and these are called germlings, and they go and grow and cut off the blood vessel. Now in the nose and sinus, if it cuts off, obviously the nerve supply would be too much. So wherever this blood vessel is getting cut off and the blood flow is getting cut off, that subsequent organ gets involved. So if the nose and sinus blood flow gets cuts off, the patient would present with severe, like typical sinus pain, right? Pain here. That's the earliest symptom of this. In fact, it's not very different when somebody would get a bad sinus pain. Most of you would have gotten that sometime in your life. But the difference between this pain and the pain that you would have had in the past is, this is a pain that you've never had before. So if you've had this kind of a pain, and if you're a patient who's just recovered from COVID, or you have diabetes which is uncontrolled, you should definitely seek doctor's opinion. Now, once that you've sort of conquered with taking some good painkiller, the next thing would be, like I said, the eye. Painful eye movement and diminution of vision. So it might come down to just finger counting. That means the vision goes down so much that you're just able to look at the fingers and count the fingers. The next thing would be complete blindness. That is, so basically if that is happening, what it basically means is that the blood flow to the eye is completely cut off. And then the next thing is the connection between the eye and the brain. Now the eye is got a connection directly to the brain through a nerve called the optic nerve, and that is the nerve that helps you to see. So once that the blood flow to that is cut off, or this sporangia or the germlings of the sporangia goes and starts attacking that nerve, the vision obviously goes down and the blood flow to that nerve gets cut off, and hence the symptom. Now, since this nerve is a direct extension from the brain, once it reaches that stage, it's very easy for it to reach the brain. So once we're talking about things like this, it's very important also that we talk about the risk factors. Now, it has been shown that once a person has got or been diagnosed as having mucormycosis, it is a time-bound condition. Right? Why time-bound? Because if you seek treatment in the first 6 days, your success rate is as high as 70%. Beyond 6 days, literature says, and then we are also seeing in our practice, that your success rate falls down to 30%. So that is the kind of disease we are dealing with, because this is a condition that is unscrupulous. Alright? So with all these things in mind, since this is a time-bound disease, what is it that we can do to prevent this? Now there are a lot of theories out there. There is a mask theory that people say that wearing mask regularly or a cloth mask is causing this. Some of them are saying that is unhygienic oxygen concentrators. Some of them are, but all of these are theories, and there is a zinc theory. But unfortunately, and fortunately for us, none of these theories have been sort of proved. Now the source of infection basically seems to be hovering somewhere behind the cheekbone. Alright? And this is where most of us think that needs to be cleared. So the treatment basically involves surgical removal and medication lasting for about 2 months or 3 months. So I was talking to you about prevention. So when you talk about prevention, you have to talk about stratification. We call it risk stratification. So who are the patients who need to be stratified, or red flags have to be given to them? If there is somebody who's got a very bad COVID disease in terms of severity, who has uncontrolled diabetes, for whom steroids has to be given to reduce the severity of the COVID disease itself, these are all your red flags. Have a very low threshold for yourself. If there are any symptoms in terms of the eye turning red, or painful eyeball movement, or facial pain, or loosening of the teeth, or jaw pain, or just nose block which is not getting better with regular simple medication, then it's important to seek advice from the doctors. Now, there are certain medications that are available, but fortunately or unfortunately, again, the entire antifungal drugs are under the control of the government, so that they are not abused, which is a good thing. Now, there are some tablets that people want to take, but to prevent this. One, there is no proof that these tablets work. Two, I don't think you should take tablets just like that if you're not fitting into the risk criteria, because once you're taking these medications which are of no benefit to you, you are taking away the medicine which is like a life for someone else. So you need to be very careful as to who are the ones that need to be given the medication, and that is where risk stratification sort of comes in. Now, don't think that once it comes you're doomed and you're going to die. No, it's not that. There are treatments, there are treatment modalities. Good surgical clearance always gives good results in the form of reducing the disease burden to the patient. And hence, once the disease burden is less, the dependency on medication is less. All of this would basically improve our outcomes overall in the management of mucormycosis.